Hey, no back and forth. What?
Mm.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, as you guys can see, my guest tonight is the apartment prepper. Sorry, I forgot how I started following her first on Instagram.
Instagram.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. That's where I first ran into you on there, and then I didn't realize you had a YouTube channel until probably about a year or two later, or
I
maybe a year
yeah.
later. Sorry, right. Um, and then people were telling me how good your channel was. I started
Aw,
watching,
that was
and
nice.
yeah, and there it was. It was pretty cool. So, with that, do me a favor, introduce yourself to everyone on here.
Alrighty, well, hey y'all. I am Diane, the apartment prepper, and it's pretty easy. I live in an apartment and I prep. I do my best. I take care of a adult special needs brother and a little Maltese dog, and we're low budget, low income, and do what we can. And I just try to encourage others who might be in the same boat. That's really what I'm all about.
Very cool. All right. Yeah. So again, guys, if you haven't heard of her, you have heard of her now. Head over to her channel. Her Listen. Anybody who doesn't curse or has a mellow tone is always worth listening to, especially after you got done with listening to me for an hour or two and my bullshit. This is someone else you can listen to. She's right up there with like Angry Homesteader um,
Oh,
and Pinball, who have like a sort of like a soothing voice, if you will.
well, thank you.
Yeah, well, listen, it's always nice to listen to somebody level-headed, if you will.
Well,
So,
I appreciate that. That's very nice.
well, that's uh, that's what I have to say. So, we're gonna start with some basic questions before we jump into the whole purge thing. Um, what got you in the prep?
Um, well, my mom was one of those people that prepped for emergencies, but not in the hardcore way. It was we had a cabinet in the fridge or in the fridge in the kitchen that always had a few cans of tuna, a few cans of beanie weenies, the candles, the extra can opener, just enough for a few days. My whole life, we just had that. And then a few years ago, I moved back to Oklahoma to take care of her in the twilight of her years. And it was just on a low income. I was taking care of her and my brother and a couple other relatives. And I started with food, getting stuff that was on sale and stocking up on sales to have more for later. And then honestly, 2020 hit and I went all out. So
Okay,
that's kind of my story. And I'm not ashamed to say that I got to the game late, but I'm here now.
well, that's good. And listen, um, I mean, I think a lot of people have been following the whole prepper trend of fake prepper. I don't know if I started that or somebody else started it, and if it was because of me, apologize. But being that you started late, if you will, as you put it, um, I find it interesting that even so, your information is still good. It's not over the top. It's not bullshit. You're not blowing smoke up people's ass. So I
I
do
appreciate
appreciate it.
that.
Listen, it's sort of like in pinball. Thank you for joining us today, or Hudson Valley. Like Hudson Valley and pinball, they've been doing this shit for a long time.
Yeah,
Prep
both
that
great
is
channels.
right, and yet when you listen to them speak and you listen to them speak about the things that are going on at the very least, you get a sense of you know a realist, realism. Sorry, to what they say, and a lot of people so far have been lucky to interview have been on the level. So yeah,
That's good.
again, so I do appreciate when people like yourself, and I hate to say it this way, are younger channels who are not pushing the bullshit and the fear mongering. So that's always a good thing.
That's yeah. I can't do that. In fact, I've even had people ask me to make videos about certain topics, and I won't do it. Just because all I'm trying to do is just encourage people to prep, especially if they're struggling financially or things like that. That's my thing. So
So yes, and that's very important. Now, real quick, guys, Hammer AZ, thank you for the donations. Guys, do me a favor. Moving forward, can you please not donate to me, but donate to Bravest of Choice?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna run into. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit down the line, but also, give me 2 seconds, guys. I'll be right back.
Should I tap dance or something?
Yes, keep them.
Oh my gosh. Put me on the spot as he disappears. Well, hey y'all. Hopefully he'll be back soon and you won't have to just stare at my mug. So if my dog was around, I'd show you my dog, but he's hiding right now. So I can say hello to a few people while he's gone. Let me see what's going on over here. Hudson Valley says he's got a face for radio. You know, back in the day, I actually had a broadcaster's license. I was a radio DJ back when you had to apply for a license to be a radio DJ. Now you don't have to. Now the station does the license, but I did that at 18. So yeah, that was fun. Little AM station. If I show up, yeah. It's yeah, he disappeared. He should be right back. Talk amongst yourselves, Hill Country Prepper says. Exactly. Kush Monster, I started prepping in 2019, would have started way earlier if I had the money. You know, a lot of us probably would have started way earlier if we had the finances or knew what was happening. But you know what? You start when you start and you do your best to keep going and do what you can. Oh, he changed his shirt.
Yeah. Scottish Fitness or Scottish McBean gave me the shirt, and I told him thank you for the shirt. So I told him I'd wear it tonight. So here it is. It's a nice shirt. So anyway, listen, the apartment thing. How do you tackle? You asked me this question on your.
I did.
Right. So how do you tackle the small space problem in your apartment?
Oh, well, you know, if I had more money, and someone else mentioned earlier, there'd be a lot of things I would do. I encourage everyone else to up above you to try and use all the space above you if you can, on the walls and above you. I don't have a lot of finances, so I mean, I did one video called Stash It Everywhere, and it, you know, I just quickly showed how I had some stuff in the bottom of a drawer, in a closet, under the bed, just all kinds of different places. I've got ottomans with stuff shoved in it. Under chairs, I put stuff where I can. That's just honest, because it's a 1-bedroom apartment with myself, my brother, and my dog. So, but fingers crossed, we'll be moving to a 2-bedroom soon, hopefully. So.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully, yeah, we'll find out this week.
Now, the moving process. That's because again, we are moving. We're not leaving New York, but we are getting the fuck out of this neighborhood and out of this building. Being that you moved before, mm-hmm. How was the process of moving your preps?
You know, for me it was hard, but it was also not so hard. And let me explain that. I was in a 3-bedroom home in Oklahoma and had enough stuff to last several years for several people. And I had to condense a lot of that down. I gave 75 to 80%, I think, possibly more, of my food to the local food bank. And I had to fit everything I could into a small truck and hit the road. I did most of the moving and everything myself. My brother has a lot of issues and a lot of health problems, but so I was picking up the boxes of food and stuff that I did bring. It wasn't hard. It was exhausting, but it wasn't hard, if that makes sense. It was tiring because I packed everything up in the truck in southern Oklahoma, July, like end of July day. It was like 100 and something degrees. So that was hard. But the actual move, and then I got a air conditioned unit because you had recommended that to me when I emailed you. Right. And yeah, so you just have to make some decisions usually. I know I've talked to other people who had to make decisions about what they could take and what they couldn't take, because a lot of times, especially now, I don't know if you know, moving trucks are so expensive right now.
Are they?
If you can find one.
Oh,
well, shit. You're not in California. You should be okay.
Well, yeah, I guess. You know, and I asked this question because I'm looking around, again, my situation, and I got way too much shit in this living room, right? So it's a nightmare. Like I said, I'm gonna do a short pan the room so people can see what the hell I'm dealing with, or my wife is dealing with. But I feel like as preppers, we have more shit than the average person.
Oh
Right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
So and I know that I'm complicating matters, or we complicate matters by continuously buying more stuff that we're going to need and use. Hopefully, we don't have to use, but that we need. And you know, again, I look around. I'm like, how many, you know, uh, pressure canners can I have in one apartment, or solar generators I can, like. And
Yeah.
so I ask people who've moved, how's that like, and everybody pretty much says the same thing. It's just you're moving more shit.
Yeah. It really is. You have to, it's just like with everything else, priorities. It comes down to priorities, how much time you have to move up and downstairs. If that's something you got, like when I move, if I get to move here in the next week or so, the elevators in our building are broken, both of them. And my apartment manager, if I get to move downstairs, she did hire a company to help me move. So she just has to get final approval from her boss to let me move into the 2-bedroom. And that's a whole other thing because we're dealing with HUD. So low income housing, all kinds of rules. So we're waiting on that approval. But yeah, I'm on the 5th floor right now. So
Okay.
that's stairs. And yeah, it's just a lot of that depends. It can be kind of a headache.
Well, definitely. Yeah, and so someone says having shit doesn't make you a prepper. No, it doesn't. I have a mixture of shit. I have like gear review stuff. I mean, like I got firefighting gear on one side. I got camping gear over here. I got shit all over the place. My prepping gear, for the most part, is in a couple of places organized. Everything else that you see is just photography gear and shit like that. So it's a mixture of both, which is probably why my wife
Yeah.
wants to burn my shit. With that, do you think that we are headed towards a nationwide purge, or are people getting carried away?
I think I think we're heading towards more lawlessness. I personally don't see like an actual. Okay. I have not seen the Purge movies, but I know what they're about. I've seen all the trailers and all that stuff. But I don't think we're heading towards an actual Purge event of like 12 hours of anything goes. But I think we're in. Well, I mean, we're already in lawlessness. If you look around and read stories, I mean, I was reading stuff today, and I'm like, this would never happen a couple years ago.
Right.
Stuff is just with the anger and the craziness and just people having no regard for anything anymore. um, I just think that lawlessness is going to get worse and worse, and not just in the city. And not just in the city. I think it's that I believe will happen nationwide because people just don't give a damn anymore. Excuse my language.
No, yeah, you're right about that. And yes, pinball organization makes you a prepper. That's why my preps are organized and everything else. It's like, listen, every day I'm asking the wife and kids, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen that? But if we need something involved preps, I know where to go. That's the only thing I keep organized. Other than that, fuck this apartment. It's just yes. So yeah, I don't, the, the Purge movies, which I thought were very good. They were really the storylines were really good. Like they stayed to the storyline. But that being said, yeah, you're right. I don't think we're going to see 12-hour. Thank you. I don't think we're going to see 12-hour, anything goes kind of deal. But in like the case of Chicago, I don't know what the hell's going to happen there,
Yeah.
because you're giving criminals a heads up. You're like, we're going to stop this, and we're going to make certain things undetainable
Yeah.
come January 1st, 2023. And criminals are like, man, I could possibly.
But in other parts of the city, other parts of the country, I mean, there's already the catch and release going on. Look at
Right.
it. I mean, there's so many places. I mean, I used to watch the news and go, oh, thank God that person's in jail, And now it's
Right.
like, oh, I wonder if that person's out by the time this story has aired. I don't believe anymore that anyone's going to stay in jail. And that's just my thought. My first thought when I see a news story about something horrible is I
Right.
just assume the person's not in jail. I assume that they've already let them go and they're back out on the street. And that's what's scary, is just that whole nobody cares about the rules. It's just they'll do what they want. There's no consequences. And I think that's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And again, I don't think it's going to be relegated just to the cities. That's just one thing I keep preaching to people. It's not just going to be cities.
Well, listen, the one thing I have to say is if people take this shit out of the city, there are towns that don't play.
Mhm.
So you're more than likely to get lit the fuck up in one of those towns.
Oh yeah.
Like even upstate New York, there are a lot of places upstate New York they don't play. I mean, like here in the city, you see what's going on. You see what's going on. What is it? Minneapolis, California, well, rather L.A., Detroit, Chicago. You're seeing all of these places pretty much burn to the ground. Now, what's going on in Illinois? I mean, the being that it's that bad, they took it a step ahead in New York. I mean, at least in New York, the bail reform, if you kidnap, rape, or murder somebody, you're not getting out,
Yeah.
and it's not even up to the judge's discretion, you're staying in. Whereas in Illinois, it's up to the judge's discretion to be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
You've been a good kid your whole life. You raped one chick, no problem. We're going to let you out.
And that's the problem is a lot of them are like, well, they've never had a record. They've never done anything bad before. I saw an interview with a mom there was a kid. I don't remember what town it was. Some kid got shot trying to steal a car. I mean, I say kid, he was 18, but he got shot trying to steal a car, and they interviewed his mom, and she's like, I don't understand why he was shot. He wasn't a bad kid. And she goes, and besides, she goes, he was driving away. Why did the guy have to shoot him since he was getting away? And I'm like, he did something wrong. He got shot.
You know what? Not even personal responsibility, just responsibility in general. People don't want it anymore. I think they're trying to throw it away. I mean, your kid was breaking
that victim mentality. Everybody is a victim.
Yeah, I wish I could play the victim mentality. You know what?
Right.
If I was a pussy, I could probably get away with playing the victim mentality, but I can't.
I could even though I'm a white chick, I could totally play that victim mentality. I mean, oh my goodness, everything I've been through, even like my homelessness last year, right. I could whine and complain about that, but
you don't.
Right. It happened, and it's part of my life.
But that's again, it's so let's just say you played the victim card. You had reasons to, right? But you got these kids out here, or like that mother going, well, he was just stealing a car. He was driving away. I'm like, but he was breaking
the law.
And not even that. He was in somebody else's shit.
He was in someone else's car.
Right.
And she was upset that the guy that owned the car shot her kid. I mean, I would be upset too. The kid got shot, but she could not fathom why he was shot at him when he was driving off in the car. She just couldn't understand it.
Well, okay, so I'll do you one better. Not that we're playing the the one-up game, but there was last year, 2 years ago, a kid robbed a store, and the clerk shot him, and the community was pissed at the clerk. The kids, I think it was his sister or his mother. I couldn't remember why. She's like, why did the clerk have to shoot him? He was just taking the money, and he wasn't doing anything bad. And I'm like, but he pointed the gun at the clerk. So
yeah, it's just like laws and rules don't apply. It doesn't apply to me as the mentality. It applies to everybody else, but not to me. And I don't know. It's just. It's getting worse every day, though. It's just getting crazier. And the thing that scares me, though, is that the kids, the ages of people that are committing these crimes is getting younger and younger.
Or are we getting older and older?
Well, maybe we're getting older and older. But did you see that story about that 11-year-old kid? I think it was in D.C. That was they caught him. He was a carjacker, and they said he was a prolific carjacker.
At 11?
At 11. When they busted him finally. They said, I think it was last year, but they said he was a prolific carjacker in the city at 11 years old. And then there was that kid down in Florida that, I'm sorry, I may say a word that upsets somebody, but he tracked a woman and raped her multiple times on the sidewalk. His lawyer thinks he should be tried as a juvenile, not an adult, because he's claiming he actually, I don't remember the whole story, but it was a horrible thing he did. And they're trying to get him tried as a juvenile and not an adult, even though the others wanted him tried as an adult for the horribleness of the crime.
Yeah, again, that's where we went wrong. We started treating these. It's amazing that you're a child when you commit a crime. They want to charge you as a juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
But you have enough wherewithal to make a decision to cut your dick off.
Exactly.
You know? And it's like, so you mean to tell me someone can make a decision, a life-changing decision,
Mm-hmm.
and say that they're old enough to understand, but now they're a child and they're a kid when they commit a horrific crime. I
Yeah.
don't understand the ideology. And the problem is, I think, the whole mind your business. I do believe in that to a point. There is a point where you do mind your business. But when we started letting people dictate to us shit like that, that's where we should have drew a line in the sand and told these teachers and these judges and these lawyers to go fuck yourself. These kids committed these crimes. They
Yeah.
fucking hang, and not literally hang, but just
No, but they should pay the price for what they've done, no matter. Yeah. That's like what was it I read? The world's youngest serial killer is 7 years old. No, 8 years old.
what are they killing? Rabbits or
No,
ants?
people. He
Really?
killed 3 people. He started when he was age 7. It's in India, but he is considered the world's youngest serial killer at 8.
Really?
Yeah.
Started at 7.
He killed his first person at 7 and killed a couple more before he was caught because he was a kid.
Is he still in jail?
I didn't get to see all of the story. I was just reading a highlight on that from something. Was talking about children and crime is what I was reading. It just seems, I don't know, it seems like every time I turn on something, like the whole carjacking phenomenon, I'm sure you guys have noticed all the carjackings that all the kids have been doing. And a lot of it is because of TikTok cred. They want to, they want something to go viral.
Right.
So they're carjacking and they're filming it and putting it on social media. And it's stupid. I mean, it's just it's worse than those stupid challenges they have. But it's, there was a TikTok thing that happened last December, I think it was, when there was a challenge to cause violence at school, and they wanted you to film it and put it on TikTok. I don't think much happened, but I was watching a news report about it where they were talking about this challenge that came out about school violence, and they were encouraging people to go to school and be violent and film it and put it up on TikTok.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
And I was going to mention the NyQuil chicken TikTok challenge.
Yeah.
I saw that today. I was like, why? Why the fuck would you ruin a perfectly good piece of meat with NyQuil? And I didn't even read the story because I felt like if I read the story, I get stupider by reading it. So I saw the title and I was like, no, that shit. Like if I caught my kids doing a TikTok challenge, they would probably be hogtied for about a week straight. And all of their devices would be smashing the smithereens. And I told them, don't even think. First of all, they don't have TikTok. I mean,
that's good.
We kept them. Actually, they don't have any social media. I think my son's on Discord, and that's it. But he doesn't have anything else. And they do throw their phones in the room at 7:00, and we check their phones. We tell them we check it every night, but we check it like every other night. But, and that because we're trying our best to keep them from being corrupt with the bullshit that's out there.
Responsible parenting, something that, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I am an aunt, and I was a kid, so responsible parenting is important. It seems like it's just not happening today.
No, I think parents are trying to take the easy way out and let social media raise their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's the easy way right now because you go to a restaurant now, more times than not, at least when we're on vacation, we see this. You see kids on their phone while they're eating.
Yeah.
Or on their iPad. And I'm like, I want to reach over and smash the fucking iPad in a million pieces. I'm like, your kid can't focus for 45 minutes at dinner. No, so it's bad. It's really bad because we were at a restaurant here in the city and this kid was on the iPad and she had her head buried in the iPad the entire time we were there. When the meal came over, I think she put the iPad down. I can't remember, but I remember she was just like this the whole time. And then she didn't like her meal and she went back to the iPad.
Wow. That's a sad state of things when, they've got social media babies in the internet babysitting their children. It used to be the TV, but you knew what was on the TV. There was only so many channels. With the internet, all bets are off. But man.
Right. Remember they said video games are going to rot your brain?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I
Now
think it's TikTok. Yeah.
TikTok is definitely a big problem.
Yeah.
And
Well, a 9-year-old died a couple days ago from the latest blackout challenge on TikTok.
yes, I heard about that.
Hmm.
I don't know what the blackout challenge consists of, but I did hear
Holding
about
your
it.
breath until you passed out.
So how did the kid die then? Because normally when you pass out,
I don't
you
know. I don't know the details. I was reading a little bit about it. He passed out from the blackout challenge, and that's the gist of the blackout challenge is you hold your breath until you pass out or something. And I don't know, maybe he had other issues, health issues that,
right.
but he
Holy
did
shit.
die.
Okay.
There's been a couple of them die from that challenge.
Really?
Yeah. There was a
I,
10-year-old, I think, last year.
because listen, you hold your breath and your body will automatically tell you to cut the shit and gasp for air. So that means they have to fell out and hit their head on something or the
Something, who
ground.
knows? Yeah, but there's been a couple of them that have died from that challenge. Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Canadian Prepper says we better prepare. So, what is your opinion on this whole World War III nonsense? Not nonsense, because it seems like we're circling that drain, if you will.
It's one of those things that if it happens, it happens. I can't stop it. I can just prep the best I can for whatever I can. And if that happens, it happens. That's really I'm not, it sounds bad. I'm not going to freak out over it. Does that make sense? It's out of my control.
No, yeah, you're right, because I'm the same way now. I'm like, well, I mean, one or two things are going to happen. We're going to glow in the dark, or they're going to hit a couple of other places on the other side of the planet, that is, and start some shit. And listen, if they do start lobbing nuclear weapons at one another over there, that gives me a heads up to fucking get out of here. But
I live near the second largest Air Force base in the nation. I say near, I'm a few miles away, but so I mean, I could possibly be in target zone, and it's like if something happens, again, it happens. It's out of my control, and pray for the best, prep, and hope it doesn't happen. But when people sit there and get really scared and stuff like that, I don't think it's healthy.
no, and that's the thing. The focus on this shit is fucking bad. 2 to 10 days. All right. So someone just said banks closing down this weekend for 2 to 10 days.
I haven't heard about that.
I haven't heard about that either. Um,
I did hear about the lady who robbed the bank over in, what was it, Lebanon, to get out her own money.
no shit.
Yeah, couple people have their banks have been holding their money like they did in China, and there was a lady who actually robbed the bank to get out some of her savings. And other people, there's been a couple people over there. I think it's Lebanon. Someone in the chat would know, but yeah, it's really bad over there right now.
Yeah, it is really bad. And what is your? So we're going to talk. We're going to mention this, but the pinball putter. What caused more deaths this weekend? COVID or gangs in Chicago?
I'm
Oh,
assuming gangs in Chicago.
I was going to say the arm ticket, but okay. I was going to throw the third one in there. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk on the arm ticket causing more an uptick in deaths, and the EU and the UK both had emergency meetings over this. So I think that's a big problem that the European Union is now having emergency meetings on this thing. I'm following it because I want to see where this goes. I know where this is going to go. I know exactly where this is going to go, but I want to follow
I'm
it.
I'm bad. I don't follow stories on COVID very often.
Right.
I just it's
So,
I've had it twice, and just to let you know, I did get the shot. Yeah, I have a very bad immune system, and after a year, my doctor finally convinced me I should go ahead and get it. So I did get it. Please don't y'all hate me for it. But my brother and I both have it. We have a lot of health issues, and I can tell you that for as sick as I get without it, I have constantly been sick since I've had it.
wow.
Not just with COVID. Just like I said, I have a very bad immune system. Anything that comes along, it attacks me. And since I've had the shot, that is worse. I get sick at the drop of a hat.
Really?
So, yeah.
So if you had to do it again, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I put it off for a long time, and my doctors kept harping on me because I do have such a bad immune system and autoimmune disease and all this other stuff. And I finally just caved and did it. And then my brother did it because he was a dishwasher at a restaurant, and he did it so he wouldn't have to wear his mask.
Okay.
And but but yeah, so we've both had the shot, and he hasn't had any problems, but me, I am constantly sick, even more so than before getting it. So is that proof? I think so that there's something wrong.
Well, listen, one of my kids' mothers, she's like constantly got something going on now after she took it. So, it's funny because we had the conversation, and she was like, "What should I do?" And I'm like, "Stay the fuck away from it. That's what you should do." And with that, she goes, "I'm not taking it." And then at some point, man, she was like, "I took it." I'm like, "You're gonna regret it." And so she took the second shot because she had to, because her job put her in a corner, and she couldn't afford to leave the job. And they put her in a corner. She takes it, and now she's got like these fucking ailments, like ever so often. And actually, sorry, my other son's mother, she's a cop. She had Crohn's, and her Crohn's went away after she got pregnant. How old is my son now? 15 years old. So 15 years, no Crohn problems. She goes and gets the arm ticket, and now it's back. She had to get surgery, and now she's having constant problems. Right.
Yeah.
And so when she said it, I was like, "Didn't I tell you to stay away from that?" She was like, but she was, again, she's an NYPD. So they sort of they pigeonholed her. Not they didn't pigeonhole her. She actually took it beforehand, but she's regretting it now, like so many other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah,
So,
it's one of those things that, I mean, I haven't told anybody until now, so now I've told the whole world that I had it because I didn't want to be judged for it, to be honest. Because no offense, preppers, I love y'all, but you like to judge people who have had that happen, and it is what it is. I have always been a science nerd. I liked science. I liked medicine. I studied infectious disease in college, but that was just that one. I let my doctor talk me into it, and I should have waited. I should have waited. But it is what it is.
it is. And here's the problem. Here's a bigger problem. I don't care what happens next, what new pandemic comes down the line. I'm not taking whatever they throw at us. I'm just not.
And that's the problem, is because shots and stuff haven't always been bad. There have been some great ones through history that have helped, but after this, no one is ever going to trust anybody ever. I'm not, and I'm a pro medicine, because just like I said, that's what I studied in college. Actually, at one point, before everything, my dream was to work for the CDC. So not anymore, obviously.
Right. And I don't know. Like you said, they're making it hard. For example, they're coming out with stuff for Alzheimer's and dementia. They got a couple of drugs that they're working on. And even though I know I'm going to get it because it's in the family, right? It runs down the family. I'm like, do I take my chance and take it, or do I completely zone out and never forget everyone? So that, like, now I'm at that point. I'm like, well, shit. If I'm going to be fucking a vegetable, I might as well. But if they come out with some new bullshit or they try to force us to take the monkeypox, so they tell us that you have to take the chickenpox or whatever it is. I'm like, no. Now if they go through old-fashioned methods like they used to, I would consider it. But this new mRNA bullshit, I'm out on that. I'm out on that altogether.
Oh yeah, no, that makes total sense. It's you can't trust them anymore because it's all become politicized and everything else, and it's not about medicine or helping people anymore. It's about control and population, and just there's so many issues at play that you can't trust them. You cannot trust that it's going to be for the good of anybody.
No, you're right. And you know what the crazy thing is? Look at all the other medications. Not even the arm tickets, just the medications they had in the past, right? Pfizer's and a couple other companies. They said they did their research and they did their studies, and then lo and behold, 10 years down the line, they have a class action lawsuit because this medication they had caused X amount of different ailments, heart failure.
They can't have any lawsuits because of the CV one, right? That's all. Wasn't there all that stuff in the beginning that no one could sue them?
Right. So they're again, right. So yes and no. There is wiggle room for it. Has to be a class action lawsuit. Cannot be an individual basis. So you or I can't go and be like, look what you guys did to me. We have to do it with a conglomerate of people, and then we have to have something detrimental that happened to us. That, for example, if you took it and you lost your job because it debilitated you, right? Mm-hmm. And now 20, 30 other people have the same thing. You can go before the courts. It's a class action thing. Individually, you can't. So, you know, and listen, I wouldn't be surprised if they found a loophole to get out of that as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they would.
I was diving deeper, and I spoke to a lawyer, and he goes, yes and no. He goes, you can't do it, but he says if you get a class action group together, you can work something out. Whether or not you'll be compensated is a different story altogether.
Yeah, good times. Woo.
I know. Fuckers always fucking with us, man. You know, that's for spam. No, thank you. I'll never do another shot. Yeah, listen, I know a lot of people, man, that said they took the arm ticket once. They said they're never ever doing it again. And you know what the worst part is? I guess for people who have taken it, I think the worst part for them is they felt duped, lied to. You know, and so they took it. They thought it was going to help, and now they're having like all these adverse reactions that are constantly going. Yeah. You know,
see, I knew ahead of time that it wasn't any cure. I'm not, you know, everybody who touted it as a cure. I know better. Vaccines are not cures, okay? But I just, with my immune system, I thought it would help, and it did not. So that was my bad, and I learned my lesson. And yeah, there's all kinds of natural remedies and stuff like that, and that's a good thing to research.
Yes, there is, and that's what we were doing. We were drinking elderberry out of the bottle. Then we realized, all right, it's a little over the top. You know? Just a tad bit. All right, guys. So real quick, I dropped the braversforchoice.org link in the chat. Instead of donating to me, again, could you guys please donate to them? They definitely do need the money. Real quick story. The money that okay. I have to say this. I'm sorry. So again, for those of you that donated, we appreciate it so much. You guys came through. You guys came through better than national TV audience did.
Nice.
You guys raised $1,000 for them, and they had to force another fireman to take it who really, really needed it. He didn't want it. He felt guilty for taking it. And so, you know, Paul, who runs Bravest for Choice, had talked him into it. And anyone who knows me is going to be like, yo, fucking take the goddamn money. You know, that's and that was my statement to them. Take it. And you guys need this. You guys are suspended and you're getting fucked. So he was on MSNBC. He was on Fox News. He had all these interviews. And he says, barely anyone donated to them. I had 1,000 viewers on with him, or less than 1,000 viewers on. You guys raised $1,000 for them. So again, guys, I appreciate it. Right. You guys did fucking awesome on my small ass channel versus a nationwide television show. Tell me that there's not something wrong with this. If we could raise money on this small channel, but they can't raise money on a national stage, there's something fucking wrong. With that being said, guys, all I can say is moving forward for the next few months, if not years, please donate to Bravest for Choice. No longer donate to me. These guys need it way more than I do. I do appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, but I would rather it go to them and their families. These people are fucking hurting like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, someone was talking about Alzheimer's and dementia. Can't be treated. Passive. Okay, very good. All right, whatever. Sorry about that. I had to get that out of the way.
No, that's fine. That's a good cause. You can talk about that as long as you need to.
Listen, it was just when he told me how much was raised. And then he told me the whole being on MSNBC and Fox News bullshit. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And they didn't fucking, nope, nobody fucking raised money for them. So maybe, yeah, maybe Fox News didn't push it because they're snakes like that, you know. So maybe they didn't push it. I don't know, but it's whatever. It's just fucking shitty. And anyway, hopefully, with all of these mandates being turned around, hopefully they get their jobs back. You know?
That would be good.
Right. So, tattoo bravest for choice. No, I'm gonna get another T-shirt that says bravest for choice. I'm not gonna tattoo that shit on me. Ain't that fucking? That's no. That's a bad idea. Anyway, guys, moving forward, that money does go to the firefighters' families for the firefighters who are suspended. Yes, guys are still suspended. 9 months in, right? No, sorry, 11 months in. Sorry, guys have been suspended 11 months now. So starting, I think it was November, right? So starting in November, they were suspended of last year. Right. And these guys are not making fucking any money. And they were also told, more importantly, they were also told they could not take another legit job. So while they're suspended, they couldn't make money. Yeah, that's insane. Yes. Bubble world, yes. Alzheimer's is brain deterioration. My father's going through it now. My grandfather, right? My grandfather before him, my uncle, my father's brother. So me and my brother are on deck to get it. So in theory, I have maybe 20 years left, right? It's a shit timetable, man, but I know that it's coming. And my brother knows. We're sort of like making our peace with it, but it just sucks. It just sucks to watch your parents, your father, not remember anything and just sit there and fucking look at whatever the hell he's looking
Actually,
at.
with my dad, it's okay, but that's a whole long story.
Okay. All right.
He was not a pleasant person, so he's better like this.
Okay. At last, he's quiet. So, Random Gene, yes, I do miss the job. I really do. So, back onto the subject or the subject matter of nationwide purge. What are you doing to protect yourself, if you will?
Well, right now, honestly, this sounds really bad. At this moment in time, I'm not doing anything because I'm focused on moving, if possibly moving. But outside of that, there are some things I'm going to have to do to tighten security in my apartment. I'm not moving from the city, y'all. I don't have the money. I don't have the funds. I don't have a place to go. Not everybody can move. Let's just get that out there. Not everybody can move. A lot of us we have to make the best out of our situation. And, but that's why I have to get better defenses and, certain things and to help with all that. And when I was homeless last year, I actually sold certain items that could be useful right now to buy food. And so, yeah, I've got to restock certain things, but that's just part of life. But yeah, it's on my mind. It is on my mind, and I've got some plans. But for me, honestly, every month after I pay bills, I have $100 for the entire month, and that's it. And that also I have to use for my paper products and anything like that. Right. So I don't have a lot left over to prep, like non-food. I prepping food for me is easier because I get food stamps, and right now I'm still getting extra from COVID. So. But other real preps, right now that's difficult, So I have to get creative. Like I said to someone else, baseball bat with some nails if I have to.
Oh shit, yeah, then definitely need to do that. Yeah, listen, the crime now, that's home defense. Do you have anything on your person when you go outside?
I do. Let me answer someone real quick. I'm not in California. I'm in Utah. So just so you know.
Yeah, because someone was breaking your balls about California.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I've lived in LA once before, but I'm not there now. So I do have several things with me when I go out. I don't have my key. I've got like a pocket knife. I've got a birdie alarm. I know it's just an alarm, but boy, if you've ever heard that thing, it's loud and it scared somebody once. I have a Kubaton, which people laugh at, but it's a pointy one, and I've actually used it once or twice to deter a drunk. And I have mainly things like that. I've got a small taser. When I walk the dog at night, I have a taser that's also a little flashlight.
Okay. All right. So you got some shit.
I do have a few things with me at all times when I leave the house, even though my town, it's weird. My town is considered one of the roughest towns in Utah, and I've never had a problem here. Even when I was homeless, I've never had a problem. So I don't know. I mean, you read about places and you're like, oh my God. But then people who actually live there sometimes are like, what?
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? Because I have kids, I'm a little more alert. Yes, Moon Peach, brass knuckles are the shit. Yeah, man, I love me a pair of brass knuckles. But I had a pair and I had to get. And I didn't have to, but I gave it away to somebody because they needed it more than I did. You know, because of where
Polar Patriot machete's not going to fit in my wallet.
Yes. Well, yeah. Listen, I mean, you know, winter's coming, so I can wear heavier clothes. So I'm allowed to carry heavier items. Yeah. Right. But in the summertime, because I wear a tank top and shorts, I can't carry much. But now that the wintertime's coming around, forget it.
Yeah.
And being that, like, listen, the psych patients here in New York, they're out of their fucking minds. You know what I mean? Like truly out of their minds. And the guy at McDonald's, I mean, he wasn't crazy, but the guy at McDonald's with the axe, you seen that one?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Now, when he whipped the axe out, but he didn't take the cover off, I knew exactly what he was going to do. And I knew exactly what kind of guy he was. Because if he didn't take the cover off, that means he didn't want to hurt anybody.
No, it was all for show.
Right. I mean, he broke a couple tables, man. I was like, all right, he's posturing. But they don't know that, you know? And those kids, they play themselves. I mean, and then he smacked that one kid in the back of the head. That was pretty cool. He's like, bang, bang. And then the kid fell onto the ground. But then they all got scared of him. And he did an interview afterwards with the Post. And he was like, he said those kids were playing him. And he was, I think he tried to talk to the chick. The chick said no. And then they got involved. And then it turned into a clusterfuck. But it's funny listening to his side of the story. You're like, yeah, exactly who I thought he was. He wasn't like the crazy that he looked like. But anyway, yeah, being that crime is getting worse everywhere. It's not just New York. People keep telling me you got to leave New York. Yeah, I know I got to fucking leave. I know that, but running into real fucking problems, and it's not real problems, but it's opportunities that I if I take that away from my son, I'm gonna feel like shit if I do that. So that and I fucked up my own opportunities growing up, right? When I was in aviation high school, I got arrested for carrying a gun, and then I did dumb shit after that, dumb shit after dumb shit. So I ruined a couple opportunities for myself. I'm like, I'm not going to ruin it for him. So let's see where he goes. One side of me is like, well, if he fucks this opportunity up, we are out of here, So like half of myself has my fingers crossed that he fucks it up so we can leave, and the other side of me wants him to make it. So we'll see. But it's a shit position to be in because
I get really annoyed, and forgive me all if this is you, but I get really annoyed at people who are always like, you need to move, you need to move, you need to move. I understand they're concerned, but like I said earlier, some of us just can't. And I've had people tell me that, oh, you need to get out of the city, you need to get out of the city. And I'm like, okay, are you going to pay for it? It just, for some of us, it's just not possible. So we need to come up with solutions for us to do the best we can in our position.
Yes.
Instead of, it's like you said in your video, I think it was it earlier today or the other day, about running isn't always the option.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's one of my big things is people are always saying to go, and sometimes you can't. So you just have to come up with solutions for where you are.
Yeah, I definitely. It's funny. It's just running is not always the answer, but sometimes neither is staying. But I know a lot of people, they keep listen, and they'll tell us, they'll tell you, they'll tell me to leave the city. That I get. And they're not rooting for everybody else to leave. That's for sure. I could almost guarantee that a lot of them, for a lot of us that do live in a city or near a city, they're like, yo, you guys get the fuck out of there. And I understand that. And I do appreciate even more when they're telling, like, again, they don't want everybody else to leave. Matter of fact,
they're like, please stay.
Everybody else, you stay fucking there, but you two, you guys can come with us. That's how I feel sometimes when people are like, yo, you got to leave. You can come down here. And listen, like I'd be more than happy to. But again, we're giving our son a chance to make his education right. And if he fucks this up, we're gone. And he actually has a school year to make it right. He doesn't, we're gone by July, August of next year. If he fucks it up really bad, we're gone by January. So again, it all depends on what he does. The ball's in his court right now. But getting out of this neighborhood is important because we need a bigger apartment. I need more room to buy more shit to stuff into rooms.
When you do move. More stuff to pack.
More shit to pack again. But listen. So I'm dying to find out this question because I can't gauge it with certain people. Certain people I can gauge, but I can't gauge this with you. Do you have a bug out bag, and are you willing to bug out?
I do have a bug out bag for myself, my brother, and my dog. We all have one.
Okay.
And I'd rather not bug out, but I can. Does that make sense? I would rather not have to bug out.
Right. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
But in a situation that I have to, I can. Now with me, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because number one, no car. We would be on foot.
Okay.
And number two, with my brother being special needs, there's all kinds of special circumstances involved with that. But again, we practice and we talk about it and we go through scenarios. And if we have to, we could. There's mountains right behind us with trails. So we could if we had to. And I grew up, even though I'm in the city, I grew up on a farm. I grew up in the country. That's my roots. I can get back to that if I need to.
Very good. So why is the next 24 hours crucial? Isn't it like every day some shit's about to happen? Seriously, like someone said something about the 24th of this month. Then I was hearing the 21st. Yes, I was hearing tomorrow, the 21st. Something's going to
I haven't heard the 24th. I heard the 24th with that German guy who said he accidentally said the wrong thing or something. And I'm like, well, I guess we'll find out. I know the 25th is Rosh Hashanah.
Oh.
So
maybe. Yeah, but then I just heard something about the 21st. I'm like, listen, now they're throwing too many fucking dates at us. Before it was like, 1 or 2 a year. I think this is like the 5th end of the world, nuclear bomb, alien attack, moon smashing into the planet date that we've had so far. So again, if it happens, guys. And don't get me wrong, I like to know what's going on and put it in the back of my head, but I'm not going to dwell on this shit anymore. And
it'll drive you crazy.
Right. And then somebody just said it. Where the fuck was it? He says, "Oh, live your life." He says, "I would not care about dates." Yeah, I'm at that point now. I'm like, fuck it, man. If it happens, it happens. Like you can't lose sleep over it.
No, that'll make you sick and end up in the hospital, and you don't want to be there.
No.
No one wants to be in the hospital nowadays.
No, it's funny. It's funny because I was just there, a couple of days ago with the wife. She had a medical procedure done, and I stayed in the hospital overnight with her for about 3 days, or 2 days and a half. Sorry. And yeah, man, listen, it sucked. And I'm like, I'm either going to get fucking AIDS or COVID. I can't decide with all the bullshit that was going on there. Anyway, yeah, walking around the hospital, man, I was the only one. They didn't say a fucking word to me. I had to get a COVID test, which sucked. The first COVID test, the lady was scratching my brain, and I all but cursed her out. The second lady, she might as well swab my cheeks, like the outside of my cheeks. She was like, so I had to do that twice because I had, to stay with her in the hospital. But when I got inside, they were like, you have to wear a mask at all times, yada, yada, yada. I said, okay, turned around, didn't put the mask on, walked away. And then that was it. For the duration of the hospital, I didn't have a mask on. But I'm like, I'm probably going to get something being that I'm the only asshole with no mask on. But I did realize the next day, the next morning, almost every employee, no one had a mask on. They were just walking into the hospital. I'm like, so why the fuck are they breaking our balls? Like, so it's BS. It's all BS.
It is. It really is. And it's sad that a lot of people just can't see that.
Yeah, yes. You know what? We're the crazy ones. And to some, we're not as crazy anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we called it. But to others, we're still Looney Tunes.
Yeah. And there will always be some like that. Absolutely. And I'm okay being one of the crazy ones. I'm totally fine with that. I think I'm in good company.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we have a nice little group now of crazies, if you will. So it's fine.
Exactly.
Operation Pocketbook, guys. That's where we do not watch or do anything on social media, and that's all the way across, not just YouTube, all of it. So Operation Pocketbook goes into effect midnight, October 31st, Halloween. So we do nothing. We don't upload videos. We don't look at videos. We don't go on Instagram, Facebook, any of that shit. One day. Let the social media giants notice a giant dip that day. If enough of us do it, guys, they're going to be like, what the fuck happened? All right. So, and do yourself a favor, turn off your social media notifications that day as well. So you're less tempted to look at your phone when some shit goes off.
And having a day off will be really good for your mental health.
That is true.
Enjoy it.
And Prepper now says we are also doing it for freedom of speech because they are taking our speech away. And this is the best way to get their attention. So for a lot of us guys, yeah. Oh, and Hudson Valley also said log out that day.
Mm-hmm. So
log out that day, guys. That goes for all of it. So yeah, I didn't even think about it. So if you log out that day, that's even a better signal to them. But that's the plan, guys. Operation Pocketbook. Hit them in the dick, or rather, hit them in the pockets. Either way, it's going to hurt. But if we get enough people on board and other YouTubers start spreading this on their channels, this can definitely get down the vine to a bigger YouTuber who will be on board. Now, unfortunately, the bigger YouTube preppers out there, you know who the fuck they are. I'm going to say it first, and I'm going to say it here. They are too pussy to take part of this. So we cannot rely on them. They are out. You know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. But the rest of us, we're going to try to fight this fight and see where it goes. That's all I can say. So, ma'am, what is your favorite prepper book?
What is my favorite prepper book?
Yes.
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. I have a lot of prepper books. The medical stuff. I have a lot of medical related things. Like, obviously the one by the doctors. I forget the one that everybody has. I've got that. And then where there is no doctor, where there is no veterinarian or whatever, where there is no women's doctor, and all those. I've just got stacks and stacks of medical, and those are some of my favorites because again, I studied all that stuff in college, so I'm kind of a nerd like that.
Oh, the what is it called? The Survival Medicine Handbook?
I have that one, yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite one right now.
I've got like I said, I've got stacks. I've got all kinds of books on building things and survival stuff, bushcraft. I mean, I don't look like it, but I do have all that information, and I do read it, and I do try to learn it. I just don't look the type.
Yeah, well, you don't have to have a look. It's just you just have to have the knowledge, and the knowledge is very important.
Knowledge is power.
And Let's Talk Prepping says she just read 1 second after. She just finished it. That's an awesome book. You read that one?
I actually, you know what? It sounds bad. I love movies, but I don't read books that are, fiction, nonfiction, fiction. Yeah, I don't read fiction books very often. Yeah. I'm a nonfiction book kind of person, but I love movies. So,
read the book. I guarantee you, by the time you get to actually, before you get a quarter way through the book, you won't be able to put it down.
I know the Tool. I think it was Toolman Tim's workshop had the author on his podcast a couple weeks ago here on YouTube.
No shit. All right, very good.
Yeah, Toolman Tim does a dystopian book club, as well as Lee from Cold War Prepper has a prepper book club.
No
So,
shit. Yes?
yeah.
I'm about to interview him. I think
he has a prepper book club. Lee has a prepper book club, fiction and nonfiction.
No shit, because
they're actually, his book club is tonight, or else I would be there and not here tonight. But
is it? Okay, I gotta keep that in mind. Oh, no shit. Yeah, you gotta read 1 Second After. Very good.
I actually own it. My brother, someone gave it to him, and he gave it to me because he didn't want to read it because that's not his thing. Again, he's a special needs adult. He sticks to simpler stuff. But
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one of the I when I read the book, I didn't have the intentions of being a prepper. That was the book that sparked me to be a prepper.
Really? Oh, see, now I'm curious.
So when I got to the end of the book, the shit that was said in the end, I was like, motherfucker. I was like, and then I went into full panic prepper mode.
I know everybody who, like most everyone I know who's a prepper has read that book. Again, I haven't, just mainly because I don't like to read fiction, but because of you, I will. I'll pick it up and give it a try.
It's like the Prepper's Bible, if you will. Actually, the Prepper's Bible is the other one, the survival book by James Rawls, I think his name is. I think I had that name right. But this one is the Prepper Catalyst or Prepper Bible Catalyst book. 1 Second After, really good. I mean, listen, I was reading it and I was reading it on the Kindle, and the battery was dying, and I ran into the kitchen to plug it in because I was in the last half of the book, and I sat up for an additional 3 hours because I'm a slow reader. The additional 3 hours finishing the book, and I've never read a book like that. Really good. Lights Out is another.
I'm a
good
slow reader, but I read out loud to myself. It's weird. It's just how I was raised. I read out loud so I can hear. It helps me absorb it better. I was trained to do that years ago, and it's just how I do it now with everything.
Well, I do that because I am dyslexic, right? So I have to read things. Like when you see me reading the comments in the chat, I'm like, Facebook already lost it because I'm trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. A lot of times I can read simple shit like "Let's Get It" or just got one for $340. Like I could read shit like that. But when it's longer or complex, I have to say it out loud to make sense of it. So that's why I read out loud as well.
It helps me remember stuff better when I read out loud.
Yes, and that's the other thing. I want to remember what I'm reading. He says, "How are you doing?" Patriots by James Wesley Rawls. Yes, that's a good book too. That wasn't a bad book. That book had like how to prepper stuff in it as he went along. He explained it was a pretty interesting book. But I think 1 Second After is like the prepper Bible, man.
I know everyone talks about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but now because you said it was a catalyst for you, I'm definitely, since I have it here. Well, actually, it's packed, waiting to move, possibly. It's in a box somewhere.
Hey, Alaska Prepper's still alive, guys. Very good. Because he had that hurricane winds up.
Oh yeah.
What was it? A cyclone? I think they called it.
I know it was a rare. It doesn't have. I've lived in Alaska. I lived up there for 2 years back in the early 2000s, and yeah, that's a rare storm that they had.
Yeah, right. So yeah, yeah, good. So he actually made it through the storm. Yeah, but they made it sound like it was super bad. But I mean, not like Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico got their ass handed to them again. I mean, like, yo, they can't catch a break on that island.
Right?
Oh, shit, man. Did you see the devastation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw people wading in water up to their waists and everything. Just, yeah, it's bad.
It's super bad. I'm like, what the fuck is like?
And I don't see how people can see stuff like that and still not prep, even if just for an emergency situation like that. Forget the end of the world, economic collapse. Just prep for an emergency.
Yes,
please.
Exactly. You know what I found? All right, so I'm watching this movie, this TV show called 5 Days at Memorial. Mm-hmm. It's about the Katrina hurricane and how this hospital got like destroyed. I mean, like,
sure.
Yeah, it got destroyed. They lost power. 45 patients wind up dying. They don't know why. Come to find out, something happened, and it's a pretty interesting thing. So anyway, when you watch this show, which I think a lot of preppers should watch this show.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah.
It's on Apple TV. It's pretty spot on with a lot of the shit that happened and the reports. But as you're watching it, I'm realizing that even if these people were preppers, they lost all this shit, right? Because that sewer water came in as well,
Yeah.
and all of your shit was contaminated. So, in essence, like for example, I live on the top of a hill, right? So the hill I live on, I'm already 5 stories off the ground, above sea level. Sorry, and then I'm an additional 5 stories up, so I'm approximately probably 100 feet above sea level.
Yeah, I'm at the top of a big hill, 5 stories up right now as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about flooding.
But I do have to worry about earthquake. I sit right on top of an earthquake fault. So
Oh, you do?
that's something I have to prep for.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, we don't have that problem here in New York. Though there is a fault line on 125th Street. So
there hasn't been an earthquake since I've been here, and I've lived in this town for a year, but this area hasn't had one in a few years. But just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it won't.
Well, I mean, again, yeah, look at Alaska, right? They got hit with that cyclone, and they said it's a rare thing, and now we're seeing a lot of rare weather events pop up all over the world, right?
Yeah.
So, listen, whether you believe in climate change or it's the harp machine, whatever the fuck you think it is, the weather's absolutely
regardless. The weather is messed up.
Right, weather's changing for the worse. So yeah, guys, continue prepping. Just be what you call it. Someone says, Jason, New York City will be hit with 110-foot tsunami. So I told, just because I said I'm 100 foot above sea level, he's like, oh, it'll be 110. There you go.
Get your snorkel out.
There's always one. There's always one in the group. But yeah. So yeah, guys. I mean, regardless of what the fuck you think it is, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter if it's the heart machine. It doesn't matter if it's nature, which I think it's nature. I think it's nature correcting itself, right? So the planet will fight back the disease, which is the human race, because we're fucking it up, and it's correcting its problem right now. Though there was a theory written 30, 40 years ago how we could end up like Mars. So imagine that, right? They said that Mars, right? They said Mars used to be like Earth. That's the ideology. Yeah, the ideology is that Mars used to be like Earth because of the sample of water, not water, but whatever that gas is that water turns into steam. Shit, what is it? There was some kind of carbon-based something that they found, and they realized that there was water. Then they had the ice cap at the top of the northern pole of Mars, if you will, and there was something else that they identified that there was water there. So they think that at one time Mars was like Earth, but wound up drying up, but they don't know why. Yeah. Listen, it's very interesting theory because they can't prove it yet. They said they found samples of what might have been water, and they found ice and all this stuff, but they're not quite sure if it was really like Earth or not. Mars is red. Yes, Mars is red, but they feel like that could happen here because we're absolutely
you just never know. I mean, this universe is amazing.
No, you don't. I mean, we have a lot of shit going on out there in space right now. I think there's a lot of shit.
We're clueless about so much.
Big time. So, real quick, before we go off, do you see more autonomous zones or no-go zones popping up because of this crime wave?
I think it could. I really do think it could, especially since when they originally had that in, what was it, 2020, they were given the freedom to do so.
Right.
For too long. And so I would not be surprised to see more of that at all. Especially since it just seems like I said, more and more lawlessness, and people are fighting back against the quote system and everything else. And just, I think it's very possible.
Well, interestingly enough, there were 3 more that tried to pop up: Nashville, Asheville, and Chicago, and they were shut down almost immediately before they were able to pop up. George Floyd Square in Minneapolis has now opened traffic up to it, so it's not so much an autonomous zone anymore, or at the very least they're allowing, so they put it, they're allowing traffic to pass through. So yeah,
one good trigger and all bets are off. One event and we're back to 2020 levels, except worse because everyone's angrier and more anti everything now.
Exactly. Yeah, the anti everything now is out of control. I mean, we got anti fuck, man. I mean, you got meat eaters. I mean, not meat eaters, vegans now getting angry and violent. I'm like, that's kind of a fucking, that's weird, man. Like, like you're gonna get violent because someone is eating meat. You saw that video with the ladies yelling at the guy that was eating a.
No, I didn't. But it doesn't surprise me.
He was at
but it makes me think of, what was it, PCU, the movie PCU back in the 90s when they were hucking the meat out the university windows at the vegans protesting outside?
Yes. Yeah, right. Right. But this guy went to there was a vegan rally and they were protesting against harming animals, and this guy was eating like a falafel or some shit in front of them, and they were motherfuckering him like, you piece of, no, he was eating I guess a shish kebab, and they were like, you're a piece of shit, you're an asshole, you got a little dick. And I'm like, what does his dick have to do with him eating meat? I'm like, what the hell? And like,
I was talking to Prepping by Faith the other day about offense, and people are so offended nowadays at just the drop of, they're so offended at the smallest thing, and it's just juvenile and immature, and it's ridiculous, the stuff that people get offended by. It's just crazy.
Because like you said earlier, they want to play the victim card.
Mm-hmm.
They want people to feel bad for them. They want to be triggered and upset about something. I'm like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I've had people call me all kinds of names, right, including nigger, right? I mean, all of it. You name it, and I'm like, I don't even fucking budge with that shit. But somebody's eating meat, and that offends you to a point where you're yelling, screaming, and waving your fist in his face. I'm like, that makes no fucking sense to me. But like you said,
that's crazy. I read a sociologist was saying that it's gotten to the point now where people like the divisiveness and they search for more things to create more divisiveness. He said he sees that right now in culture.
That's definitely, he's right. He hit the nail on the fucking head. Because again,
his exact words were, he says, we've become addicted to the divisiveness.
So story. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so it's almost like a rush.
Yes.
Adrenaline rush.
I remember when I was a firefighter a long time ago, just a year ago. Anyway, so I remember I knocked on somebody's door. We were looking for a water leak. And I remember I went upstairs and I knocked on the door, and I used a Halligan, big metal tool. It's the key to the city. We call it. We can force any door with this thing. So I knock on the door with it. I don't knock on the door with it. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. Lady opens the door. Why are you knocking on my door so loud? And I'm like, who the fuck are you talking to? Like, that was my response. And she's like, you're knocking on my door. Why do you have to bang on it like that? I said, I was just knocking on the door to see if there was I don't care what you're here for. Don't knock on my door like that. I'm like, and then this dude comes out of the back. Like, he just materialized. He was like, yo, what are you knocking on the door that loud? I'm like, you didn't fucking hear it. So don't even start.
Wow.
Then, and he was like, yo, I said, listen, I will crush your skull with this thing. Don't fuck around. And then two more guys came out of the back, and now the captain's standing there, and he's like, Jason, leave it alone, Charles. He's like, so I didn't say anything. And then they were sitting there. I was like, guys, I said, I will take the three of you on right now and this fucking bitch. And before I could finish that, two more guys from my fire came down. And they pulled me away from the door. They're like, and then one guy was like, what did you say? You know what the fuck I said? I said, you know what? Come downstairs. And then they like, listen, my threshold for ignorance with shit like that, especially when people are looking to pick a fight, my ignorance, their ignorance level pisses me off to no end. Listen, you can call me every name under the sun. You can say whatever the fuck you want to say to me. But when you start to look for a reason to fucking want to fight me, there's no,
and there's so much. That's just, it seems like that's what everything is now. People are looking for a reason.
Yes.
They're just looking for something to poke at you, and it's stupid.
It's out of control. I mean, like, I watch people argue with one another, and they're like, don't talk about my kids. I'm like, he wasn't talking about your kids. He just said, your kid shouldn't have done that. And they take that as them not talking about their kid negatively. I'm like, yo, he just said for your kid not to do something. He didn't call your kid a fucking son of a bitch.
Oh, no. I used to manage a movie theater back in Texas, in Dallas, and we had those. I don't know if you remember back when movie theaters had like the candy that you could buy in bulk from the machines. I don't know if they did that in New York, but they did it in Texas where they had bulk candy. You get the bag, you fill it up, and you take it up to the counter and pay.
Yes, yes.
This kid went up there and started opening everything out, and candy was falling out, and he was like eating it. And I was just like, and I didn't see a parent, and I was like, hey, don't do that. Oh my God, his dad materialized and started screaming at me up one side and down the other. I had to call the police and get his butt yanked out of there because, I mean, I was a woman. He wasn't listening to me. He was just letting, he was like, I'm going to have your job. I'm going to have your keys. And I was like, here, you want them? Take them. I don't care. But his kid was doing something obviously wrong. And I told this kid to stop. I didn't even do it meanly. I was just like, hey, don't do that. And he lost it.
That
was like 15 years ago.
Oh wow, okay. Shit.
That was like 15 years ago. Yeah, imagine that today.
So Mo Prepper said, "How dare you teach a child of responsibility or discipline?" Yeah, really. I mean, like, yeah, it's funny because these kids today, they do shit, and then and now it's worse. So you said that was 15 years ago, right? So now it's 10 times worse now. Imagine telling a kid, "Hey, don't do that." And the parents like, "Don't tell my kid what to do." And I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll tell you what to do, you fucking piece of shit. Tell your kid not to do that." Like,
yeah. And it was one parent back then. Nowadays, it's like every parent.
Yeah, really. Someone tells my kid to knock it off. I'm like, you heard the fucking man, knock it off. Like it's all within. You know what? We're old school, so we have a certain way of thinking. But these school parents, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. I really can't gauge it anymore. I can't. I'm listen. I'm at a loss right now. Shit happens, and I'm like, did that really fucking? And I'm looking around like, am I the only one that think this is fucking outrageous? And maybe because I live in New York, I don't know.
It's just it's when you see some of these, like I talked about that mom on that interview, when you see some of these parents of these kids that have done some horrendous things, you're just like, and they're just like, I don't understand. And it's always like, my kid was such a good kid, and you're like, obviously, no, they weren't.
Yeah, your kid was a fucking asshole. That's why he was, that's why he's fucking outlined in chalk on the ground, because he was a dick and he had bad parents. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I have no problem telling parents like what I think of their kid. Your kid's a fucking asshole and you need to fucking do something about it. And listen, when a kid's small, I don't take that approach. But when the kid's a teenager, anything over 13, all bets are off, man.
Right.
But I also learned that, it's also the generation they hang out with. It's not just the parents. Because you can have your kid, your son, your daughter could be fucking an angel. They go outside, hang out with the wrong fucking asshole crowd, and they're doing stupid shit. Before you know it, they got a needle in their arm and they're jacking a car out of a fucking parking garage.
Well, that's like that kid. I think might have been Chicago, that the kids who carjacked that. I think it was Chicago. The kids that carjacked that woman in her driveway, that United Methodist pastor, and killed her and took her car. And the one that shot her was like 13. And
where was this?
Chicago. I think it was last year. And it was a big story because it was a really well-loved African-American woman who was a pastor. And in her driveway, they carjacked her at gunpoint and then shot her and left her for dead. And apparently she had multiple bullet wounds in her, not just one. And it was a 13-year-old. But you know what? He didn't get charged with murder, even though she died. He got charged with like having something to do with a firearm, and there was like really minor charges he was charged with. It was ridiculous, and she died.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But then you got the parents. My kid's perfect, and
I don't put anything past my kids, and not because they're bad. It's just because society today, and right. Listen, I mean, as a kid, I'd done some knucklehead shit. My parents still didn't even know I did.
Exactly.
That's why I don't put anything past them, because even though my parents knew I was a fucking asshole growing up, but they also knew that I knew the difference between right and wrong. It seems like parents today don't allow their kids to know the difference from right and wrong.
There is no right or wrong today for them.
Right. Definitely.
It's just do what feels good as long as you're not caught. And then if you're caught, well, you probably won't get in trouble anyway, so just do it anyway.
Right. I mean, look at these kids here in the cities. They're running in the stores. They're grabbing shit. They're running out. Right.
Mhm.
And no one's really stopping them. And when people try to stop them, it's always the wrong person. It's always the 85-year-old man who hasn't fucking done anything active in the last 20 years. He tries to go after these kids and he fucking, pulls his back muscle.
Well, that's like there was a guy in LA that he was tired of all the people doing the shoplifting at Walgreens. And one day when he was in there, he tackled one of them as they were running out, and he's the one who got arrested.
No.
Yep.
Because I know that a lot of the stores are telling their workers, do not.
He wasn't a store. This was just a customer.
Oh, no shit.
It was just a customer. He was tired of people just constantly robbing stuff and them letting it go. And he got tired one day and he tackled some guy, and then the police arrested him and let the shoplifter go with all the stuff.
Oh, well, you can't make this shit up.
No, I know. That's why I'm just like, it's lawlessness is just, I don't think we'll have a purge for real style purge, but the lawlessness is just going to keep ramping up, and until when, I don't know. Something major is going to have to happen for stuff to end, and I don't know if it will.
That's where the citizens come in. The citizens have to end this shit. We see the problem is a lot of the citizens today. We and I talk about us as a group of people. Sorry, that we become too reliant on these fucking politicians. So while we're relying on these politicians, we keep looking to them to do some shit, and they're not. So now we have to take it into our own hand, but we don't want to because we don't want to go to jail. I already said, I'm game for going to jail now. So baseball bat to the knees or whatever the fuck needs to be done to anyone that's trying to steal my car, trying to hurt one of my neighbors down the block. I have no problem crushing kneecaps, like zero. And
Magic Prepper was saying that we need to take advantage of those new laws, those new no cash bail laws or whatever, because you know what, we're going to be the criminals. So hey, if people are getting out, it might be us.
Right. I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah. I said, but you know what? I have this feeling, man. I have this odd feeling.
Oh no, we get the judge would keep us in. Yeah.
Yeah. They would look at us like, oh, you should know better because you were a New York City fireman, or you were an NYPD cop, or you were an EMT. You know better than that. And then they leave you in there to rot. But the guy who just fucking raped a little girl, well, he didn't know any better because his fucking daddy hated him and his mother never breastfed him. So that's the excuse they run with, and he gets out of jail.
Yeah, and that's just yeah, it's crazy. I know I say that a lot, but that's just the only thing I can say is it's crazy. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing. Off the wall prepper says too much talking, not enough action, and he's right. And again, that's from everyone, though. I mean, two times in a month, period. I thought I was going to get into a scrap, and one being a carjacking, the other one just being some asshole on the train with a sword on his back. I was like, this is going to go down. This is going to go down fucking fast and ugly. And then listen, I am not on here by any means in the imagination thinking that I'm going to get out of this situation unscathed. Absolutely not. The shit can go sideways. I can get killed or hurt bad. So I understand that, but I'm willing to go the distance because what are we supposed to do now? We're supposed to just fucking sit back and let this shit happen? More people got to stay their ground, man. And these criminals, first of all, these criminals are, for the most part, they're picking on a lot of the older, weaker people out there.
If you look which that's oh.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, they're doing that. They're not picking on people like me, at least not yet. It hasn't gotten to that point yet. But look at who they're picking on. Now, as far as carjackings go, they don't give a fuck who you are. They're pulling you out of the car just the same,
have you seen the footage of down, I think it's Colombia or somewhere, where the people are getting tired of the motorcycle gangs doing the carjacking, and they're just starting to like run them over?
I saw that. Someone had to explain that to me.
Complete strangers are just, they show the motorcycle gangs that are going so bad, and so they'll be carjacking somebody, and some car will see it, just run up and bam, just run them over, and just keep driving because they're all tired of it.
Yes, yeah, but at what point are we going to get tired of it, right? I mean, here, I mean, the New Yorkers here, they're straight pussies. I'm sorry. They're like, well, we need more police on the street. But just a year ago, you were saying that you wanted less cops in the fucking neighborhood. Now you want more on the streets. Make up your fucking mind. You know, like this is where we are in New York anyway. It's the fucking, you know, it's the back and forth. I can't fucking believe that we're sitting here having this conversation about crime sometimes. Like I look at it, I'm like, are we really fucking dealing with this shit when we didn't have to deal with this shit for a long time?
Everything goes in cycles.
That is true. That is true. The first page.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So, holy shit, we ran almost an hour and a half. That is not bad. No, not bad at all. So, listen, with that being said, we're going to go off the air now. Apartment Prepper, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me ramble.
It was fun. It's always fun. You know, again, I've been real lucky. A lot of the guests I've had on, you guys have done good. You haven't bored me, haven't bored the audience, so that's a good thing. So, guys, tomorrow night I'm having a female prepper panel. My Mother Sparks, Alexandra the Great, Vancity Prepper, Prepper Princess, and Angry Homesteader. That's the next batch that's up this time, and then next month I'm pretty sure it's going to be yourself, and I gotta find a couple people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta find a couple.
I would be honored.
Let's see, who else would oh, maybe Catskill, not maybe, but Catskill and my prepper, and probably Appalachia PIA.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'll probably be you 4 next month sometime. And I still got to get the prepper panel, the guys prepper panel together. There's too many motherfuckers to pick from, but I'm gonna make it really easy for myself and start with the guys I know personally.
The ones you run with.
Yeah, and then trickle down the what you call it that way. But yeah, so with that being said, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Again, Apartment Prepper, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Any last words, by the way?
Y'all just keep doing what you can, you know. Hang in there, stand tough. We'll make it.
Roger that. Thank you.
Except Hudson Valley Prepping says we're all going to die Wednesday. But outside of that, we're going to be okay.
Wednesday night, 7:30. So I guess he's having a live stream tomorrow night at 7:30. Well, that's the time we die. Whatever it is. Guys, be there for that tomorrow night. The female prepper panel is also tomorrow night as well. And tomorrow morning, I will have my Wednesday midweek report tomorrow morning as well. Trying to cram everything in before we go to Vermont. Yes, we're leaving to Vermont. Listen, we're spending more time out of the city than we don't want to be here anymore, man. I really don't. No fear, no thrills. You should start a channel. Everybody should. Nice dog, by the way. That's the dog they didn't want anymore?
This is the one they didn't want, yeah. This is my rescue, basically. He's a little messy.
Chief email
me. Mr. Max McFluffybutt.
Very good. Chief Prepper, email me at angryprepper@gmail.com, and I will definitely be checking you out as well. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the donations, guys, and thank you for donating to Brazers for Choice. They do appreciate it, and I appreciate it more than they do, because you guys are again coming to help out where the help is needed. So again, guys, thank you and good night.